Hello, everybody. I'm Goose. You're watching On With the Show, and on today's podcast, we're going to continue. I have been keeping. The governor's race here in California has continued to intrigue me, because it looks like even with the surging of Javier Becerra, I think it's Javier Becerra or Xavier Becerra. I don't know. I've heard it called both, but he is seeming to surge, which is something I predicted when Swalwell fell out. I'm going to get into that on the other side of this. But and you can see I'm wearing my California Angels hat. I know they're called the Anaheim Angels of. The Anaheim Angels. I know they're called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I am still a California Angels guy, and I still think that's what they should be called. But we're going to talk about the California governor's race today on this podcast and how it's continuing to intrigue me in a lot of areas. Because I think this is going to shape up to be something that we have not seen in a while. So let me get the OBS, let me turn it on, and let's get into this. And here it is, the headline from the California Post. California governor's race on a knife edge as dark horse surges and ballots hit mailboxes. This is by Titus Wu, published yesterday on the 4th. May the 4th be with you. By the way, happy Cinco de Mayo for all my friends out there. But let's get into this. It says the California gubernatorial race is gearing up with more Democrat on Democrat onslaught as the competition enters into a critical final stretch, according to a new poll released Monday. The biggest target of the field of 6 Democrats candidates is former Health and Human Services Chief Javier Becerra, or Xavier Becerra. Again, I'm going to call it both because who has surged into the lead at 18% despite a barrage of ads directed at him. Becerra is tied for first with Trump-endorsed Republican Steve Hilton, according to the poll funded by, now remember, the poll is funded by the California Democratic Party. Okay? The poll was conducted from April 30th to May 2nd. There's Javier right there. And it says the results indicate a process towards ensuring a strong Democrat is elected the next governor of California, the party said on social media. The surge of Becerra, who at the beginning of the election was mired in single digits, was also reflected in another recent poll conducted late April. His surge has diminished fears from Democrats that Hilton and the other Republican candidate, County Sheriff Chad Bianco, who I do like. I think Chad Bianco brings a lot of fire to the debates. Would take the top 2 spots of the primary and lock the Democrats out. Now, I'm going to tell you on the other side of this, I still think that might happen. But I'll get into it in a little bit. Under California's system, the 2 top vote getters, yes, we have a jungle primary. We used to have it where it was like 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. Now it's like a jungle primary where possibly, again, 2 Republicans or even 2 Democrats. I don't think 2 Democrats are going to end up running for California governor. But that's the way they try to set it up, so there's always 2 Democrats running against each other. But again, under the 2 top vote getters advance to the general election, regardless of political party. Becerra has seen allies of Governor Gavin Newsom coalesce around his candidacy during the final stretch of the race. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell Javier Becerra right now, having Gavin Newsom endorse you is probably not a good thing, because there are more people who do not like Gavin Newsom than like him. The people that like him are pretty much on the coast. The blue coast is what I like to call it. Because if you look at a California map, a lot of we're more of a purple state, but a lot of that blue comes right down the coast of California, from San Francisco all the way down to Los Angeles. Let me keep reading. The new dynamic comes as mail-in ballots were sent to mailboxes across the state on Monday. Voters will be mailing their ballots in until June 2nd, election date, making it even more critical for candidates to sway voters now. I'm going to tell you about that on the other side of this. Notably, the new polls suggest voters are tuning into the race as the finish line nears. Undecided voters have dropped from 24% to 14%. Bianco is sitting third with 14% of the vote, according to the poll. Progressive billionaire Tom Steyer follows with 12% of the vote as he tries to claw back from Becerra. The frontrunner lead with temporarily had after Congressman Eric Swalwell suspended his bid under SA allegations. Steyer has attacked him. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Steyer has tacked himself into the far left lane of the race, portraying Becerra as the establishment candidate. Notably, he's recently been aiming many of his attacks on Becerra. Former Congresswoman Katie Porter got 8%. She's fading like a blackout. I mean, she started out. I'm going to show a video of an interview she did like 6 months ago, where she blew up at this reporter. Like 6 months ago, and she was the front runner at that time. I'll explain why she was the front runner, but she's fading. People are finally seeing Katie Porter for who she is, and they're not impressed with her anymore. They're pulling, and she has vowed to stay in this until the end, which is going to be a detriment to the Democrats. There's no way they're not going to be able to talk her out of running, not at all. Which is a sad thing. I'll get into that on the other side. While San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan polled at 7%, two other candidates ended up with 2% or less. That was Antonio Villaraigosa and Tony Thurmond, which I'm still trying to figure out why in the world Tony Thurmond is still in the race, because he's polling in like 1 to less than 1%. All right, so the race has tightened. Let me bring up a video here to talk about this from ABC 10. We play this. And again, I apologize for the if it's going to be echoey, but I still haven't figured this out yet. But let's get into this.
We're less than a month away from the primary election in California. That's on June 2nd. All registered voters getting ballots in the mail starting today. And as we've been reporting, the race for governor is shaping up to be very competitive. New at 11, we're seeing results from a new poll by the California Democratic Party. 1,200 people sampled. It was conducted April 30th through May the 2nd. It does show the Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Javier Becerra now tied at the top at 18%. Chad.
So let's talk about this really quick. Let's look at this. Steve Hilton has been leading in a lot of polls. Again, I'm not 1,200 voters. First of all, it doesn't even say if they're likely voters. It just says 1,200 voters. So, and again, it's from the California Democratic Party tracking poll, which, again, not a lot of people here. Not a lot of people here in the state of California are very enthusiastic about the Democrat Party, because it's been a one-party state of the Democrat rule for the last at least 16 years. It basically, when Arnold Schwarzenegger left, and I read Arnie's biography. And he tried to be the one governor that worked on both sides, and he found how difficult it was to work with both sides. And that he says that's one of the reasons why California politics is so crazy. So a lot of people who over the last 16 years have seen California kind of like take a nosedive, because over 50, I think they saw like 56% of people believe California is heading in the wrong direction. That's more than half. So a lot of people are not really trusting of the Democrat Party right here in California. They don't believe that anything's been taken really seriously about crime and homelessness and housing and all the stuff they're trying to tout there. But let's look at this. Steve Hilton. So Steve Hilton's been on the top of the mountain pretty much the entire time. Javier Becerra has come out of nowhere. And I'll tell you why. I think Javier Becerra is now being touted as the Democrat moderate. The Democrat moderate, which Tom Steyer who was in the lead, has basically said he is a progressive. He's a progressive for governor. He's even said that in his ads. And a lot of people are running away from the progressive party. They're running away from Democrat progressives. Why? Because they've seen what has happened to California when progressives are ruling. We saw that in San Francisco, where progressivism basically ran the city almost into the ground. And we saw their DA, their progressive DA, Chesa Boudin, get recalled. And it was funny when I was like investigating the recall for Chesa Boudin. He was saying it was a Republican-led recall, and that's the reason why he's being attacked. Well, you needed 85,000 signatures to do the recall, and I joked saying that I don't think that they have 85,000 Republicans living in San Francisco. I really don't. But, he got recalled. London Breed, their mayor, she got voted out. They got a new mayor and they had a lot of people who were on school boards and everything else who were progressives. They got yanked out, and they said, "Oh my gosh, it's such a sad day." And they started they still have Democrats running San Francisco, but they've gone back to the more moderate, law and order. We got to help these people. Kind of thing in San Francisco. And they're having to face really, really tough decisions in San Francisco right now because, the way that the party that led the city into the ground, they're finding that they spent money on things that had no point in being spent on, and they were way over budget, and they're going to have to cut jobs, and this is a tough thing. Same thing's going on in Los Angeles. Los Angeles right now, as far as this is concerned, this whole thing is concerned, it's a toss-up. They did a recent poll, and they found Steyer was leading like 15.3%, with Becerra like 15.2%, and Steve Hilton was at 14.8%. They said it was a big old tight race in Los Angeles. They have no idea who's going to pull it out there because a lot of Democrats, and you look at Spencer Pratt right now, who's running for the mayor of Los Angeles, and he's gaining ground. He just put out a new ad that I think shocked a lot of people, basically showing the mismanagement of what happened during the fires down there, and how, hey, my house was here and it's no longer gone, and I'm living in this trailer while Karen Bass lives in this nice house in this posh neighborhood. There's a possibility that Spencer Pratt, the Republican, could end up being mayor of Los Angeles. And that is going to be a big deal. And I know in a lot of polls it's showing that the socialist, communist, I don't even know her name, is leading. But I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. I think there are a lot of people in Los Angeles. I've had friends of mine who used to live in Los Angeles, said they never move. And these were Democrats who left Los Angeles to go to Oregon and Georgia and other places where they could live. They still might be able to have their same beliefs, but they can't do it in Los Angeles anymore because it's too dang expensive to live in LA. And so there's a lot of things going on right now with what's going on in California government and politics that it's starting to make that shift to the right, and which is why I've always have said California is more purple than blue. It's just because we got everybody living on the coast and then we got thousands of people living on the coast. They kind of forget of all these people in the Central Valley, Orange County, San Diego, who are more conservative, So we're going to see what happens. I think that's the reason why Becerra is pretty much as surging as he is, because he's coming out being more and more of the moderate Democrat that appeals to more Democrats. And Katie Porter is fading, like I said, she is fading into darkness. She was once in the double digits. Now she's at 8%. She's falling like a rock. Let's finish this video. It said here, Chad Bianco's in third.
Coming in third at 14%. Tom Steyer 12%. Katie Porter now down to 8% in this particular poll. So in the meantime, those are the ones that we're showing you. There's the other set of 5. Matt Mahan, 7%, and then.
And again, why is Tony Thurmond still in the race? He's got less than 1%, of course, or he's at 1%.
And
Tony Thurmond is
15% in terms of those who are undecided.
So let's go back for really quick because we still got undecided 14%. Remember, it was 26% at one point, and I said a lot of these people who were like Swalwell supporters weren't necessarily going to be going to Steyer and Porter. They might be going to someone like Becerra. I said that. And lo and behold, it looks like that's what's happening. You've still got 14% undecided, which could decide the race. And here's the key thing about that 14%. That 14% could very well say, I'm not voting. I'm staying at home. I don't like any of these people. I'm not voting for any of these people. I'm staying at home. The undecideds could be like, no, I have to vote, but I'm not going to vote for any of these. I'm going to vote for like Tony Thurmond and throw my vote away. That could possibly happen. They don't like any of the front runners, so they're going to vote for someone in the bottom so that they could say, I voted for this. Why did you vote for him? Well, because I didn't like anybody else. That's quite possible. Either they're going to stay at home and not vote, which could be key, or they're going to vote for someone on the bottom because they don't like anybody at the top. Let's finish this video. I've only got like 4 seconds left.
Oh, in this particular poll, at the top, Hilton and Becerra.
All right, so let's minimize this. Let's go on to the. So if you want to know what happened to Katie Porter, she's becoming more and more irrelevant as the day goes by. Let me show this video. This is from CBS News, CBS Evening News. This talks about her fire exchange with a reporter. This was
California, the
6 months ago.
Populous state will elect a new governor next year after Governor Gavin Newsom's second term runs out.
The race is getting a lot of attention this week after a CBS News interview with the early frontrunner was posted online.
Former Democratic Congresswoman Katie Porter nearly walked out when correspondent Julie Watts asked about redistricting and what Porter would say to the 40% of Californians who voted for President Trump.
40% voted for Trump.
The other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
You're being tough on me, and I can't answer your questions because you're being mean. You're being mean. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go. This is basically her attitude. This is one of the reasons why she's tanking, because people are seeing this and they're like, yeah, we don't want this. This is the person we don't want as our governor. Let's keep watching.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care what they did.
Positive conversation, which you asked me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there. And we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I've never had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
an interview.
So she's never had to end an interview like before with an investigative reporter. Are you kidding me? Again, if you want to see why she's gone from double digits to single digits, this is the reason.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through...
I love that. So you're not going to answer questions from reporters. Oh, that's just bang. You want to talk about the knockout punch. That was it.
Follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go...
Yeah, that's her job as a journalist.
If you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want that on camera.
That sounds like...
Now, it's important to know that this viral moment is an excerpt from a much longer piece where viewers hear from all 12 of the candidates side by side,
Yeah.
and some of them, including former State Controller Betty Yee, the other high-profile woman, are calling for Porter to leave the race.
Yeah. So she basically fried herself. And people are probably wondering, how is she the front runner? She was the front runner because she got in early. She was a congresswoman in Southern California. I think it's Orange County. And, a woman governor. Of course I'm going to vote for the woman governor, you know. And then I think more and more people started to see what she was really like and was like, no, I think we're going to pass on her and find somebody who is going to be a little more acceptable. I guess that's the right word. I'll talk more about this on the other side. I'm going to close out OBS, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this on the other side. So hold on with me just a sec. So yeah, the California governor's race, I think at this point is still for me, I think wide open. I think there's still a hot possibility that we end up with two Republicans running against each other that's the way the primary might work out. Bianco holds really strong in the Inland Empire, and a couple of other places. He's very strong in the Inland Empire, where it basically is from. And so there is a high possibility that we have two Republicans running for the state of California governor. Could Becerra sneak in there? Yes, Becerra could sneak in there. And we could have, for the first time in a while, a Republican and a Democrat running for the governor of California. However, Steve Hilton is still holding strong. He's still ahead in many, many of the other polls. But the question I have is, how long is it going to take for some of these other Democrats to basically pull out? Why is Thurman still in the race? He's polling at 1%. Why is Villaraigosa still in the race? He's polling at 2%. You don't have. Why are you still here? It was like in the last debate, I was watching a video where they asked Tony Thurman a question, and the commentator was like, "Who is this guy? You weren't in the last debate. Why is he still here?" They even canceled the debate because they didn't have everybody involved, because apparently there were 5 white people on the stage, and oh my gosh, we can't have that. We got to show the diversity of California. And I don't think that looked good either. I think a lot of people here in the state of California are getting fed up with what's been going on and how the state has been run. And trust me when I tell you, I understand Chad Bianco basically, when he was on the stage last week, basically pointed out that all of these people are either billionaires or lifelong politicians, career politicians. I'm the only one here that's lived here, that's seen what's going on. You know, the sheriff of Riverside County. You know, I would not be surprised. Here's the thing. If Hilton were to win, and that's a strong possibility, if Hilton were to win, I would not be surprised if he reached out to Chad Bianco and said, "Would you want to be on my staff?" You know, because I believe some of the things that what you were saying is true. What we need to do is, I know I've talked to a lot of people who like a Republican in office, mainly for the fact that what they want is a state audit of what's going on in our state. We feel that a lot of us here in the state of California believe that the state has been mismanaged so poorly. Has been mismanaged to the point that we want to know where our money's going. We want to know where our taxes are going. They've even apparently are going to put the billionaire tax on the ballot. And a lot of people are actually for that because they're trying to figure out what's going on. You know, why don't we have enough money for all the stuff going on? It's because we're spending it on things that don't need to be spent on. Why have we spent over all this billions and billions of dollars on a high-speed rail that is going from like Merced to Bakersfield? When, in all honesty, they wanted it to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles. You know, they keep trying to like compare themselves with this whole thing with Japan. Well, Japan has a high-speed rail. Yes, Japan knew how to put it up properly, under budget. We've spent billions of dollars and we have yet to put a rail in. And now we're seeing from, you know, the Nick Shirleys of the world who are investigating the fraud going on with all of, you know, all this other stuff. And what are the Democrats' solution to that? Hey, let's pass a law making it difficult for people to do investigative reporting because we really don't want to show our fraud. And the politicians are now wondering how and why all of a sudden this state is starting to flip. It's because you have allowed so much mismanagement and corruption to go on that a lot of us Californians are done. We're done. We want someone in there who will get the job done. And whether that's Hilton or Becerra or Bianco, because I think those are the top three names that we're going to be looking at. I think Tom Steyer has gassed out. I think there's too many things in his past, too many things that's being reported about him that people are like, oh, shoot, we don't want this guy. I know he's trying to be like the anti-Trump. You know, he's trying to be like the progressive Trump. But yeah, this is this guy's third round at trying to be California governor. And it is, you know, this is like the highest he's gone in the election process, you know, as he's ran. And Katie Porter has like done it to herself. She's fizzled out. People have seen who she is. And they're like, yeah, we don't want her. You know, she might be good. And now I just found out she's a former congresswoman, which means she's not running for Congress, which means she could be out of a job. But this is absolutely crazy. The California governor's race is going to come down to, and let me tell you what I'm going to do. When I get my mail-in ballot, this is what I'm doing. Listen to this. When I get my mail-in ballot, I'm going to fill it out, and I'm taking it to my elections office. I'm not putting it back in the mail. God forbid I put my ballot back in the mail. I am taking my ballot straight to the elections office, and I'm handing it to them personally. I'm putting it in there personally. I'm being responsible for this. I'm going to vote early because I don't want to take a chance on something happening and not being able to vote. I'm going to make sure my vote counts, and I'm going to get it out there. And don't ask me who I'm voting for because I'm not telling you. All right? I'm not telling you. But I will tell you, it will be one of the names of the top three I just told you. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I'm not giving my ballot. I'm not giving my ballot to anybody. I'm not having any, oh, can we take your ballot in for you? No, I can do it myself. I'm a grown man. I know how to get there. Yeah, I don't have a car. I take the bus. No big deal. I know where I'm going. I can take my ballot to the elections office myself. And I encourage each and every one of you to do the same thing. Don't put it back in the mail. Don't give it to anybody coming at your door to take it from you. You fill it out. You go and put it in the elections box yourself. All right? Excuse me. It's about that time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the show today. If you haven't already, go down, give me a big like on the video, give me a big thumbs up. Let me know that you like the topic, and if there's anything else that maybe you want me to keep reporting on this, because I'm going to keep an eye on this at least till June 2nd, until we have our election and primary. And this could get even crazier when we get past the primary, going to. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Going to our governor's election. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know. You hit that bell for notifications so you always know when a new podcast is uploaded to YouTube. Share this out to your friends, family, and neighbors. Let them know what I'm doing over here for On With The Show. And leave me a comment, because I want to know what you think about this governor's race. I want to know who you like, and I want to know what you think is going to happen come June 2nd when we have our primary. Are we going to have 2 Republicans running? Are we going to have a Republican and a Democrat running? Or is one of these fools down near the bottom going to finally spring up and challenge any of these Republicans? I don't think that's going to happen. I think at the very least, we're going to have a Republican. At the very least, we're going to have a Republican and a Democrat. At the very least. But don't put it past having 2 Republicans running for governor. I think that just might happen. That just might happen. But again, this is California, so who knows what's going to happen. All right. Again, my name is Goose. You've been watching On With The Show. Thank you so much. I will see you all on the other side.